Today we're talking Sony and Xbox going all in on game streaming, the surprising Game Awards Game of the Year noms, and discussing fun rumors about GTA and the new Fable game. Plus, is Stalker 2 the game you should be playing this Thanksgiving break? Stick around to find out. Welcome, friends, to this week's episode of Good Playing With You, the weekly gaming podcast. I'm Dan Whitehill, and as always, I'm joined by our Good Playing Good buddies, Matt Lord.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matt Maulding.
Hey now.
Before we jump into the headlines, Stalker 2 just dropped, and it's killing it on the Steam charts. It's reviewing a little bit buggy, but positive, and it's available on Game Pass. Lord, you're a fan of the series, and you've had a chance to check this game out yesterday. What are your thoughts? Is this something we should be playing over the break?
Okay, so I'm sure everyone's wondering what the performance is like. And let me tell you, I'm playing on the Series S, and honestly, the performance is not that bad. People are, in my opinion, like categorizing it as like a Ubisoft bug fest. And I played a solid probably hour and 15 minutes, explored heavily the first little the intro, got through the first missions, and then I honestly, and the best part too, and this is wild, I'm playing on keyboard and mouse because the game supports keyboard and mouse on the Series S. And I was like, nice. I have to do traditional Stalker and play it that way. And honestly, I mean, people were complaining about like frame rate issues, and
no smoke was coming out the vents of the S.
So believe it or not, the S was handling it well, and I thought it was going to be going at like 20 frames per second. I'm like, this is going to be a real drag. And no, smooth, at least the parts that I played at the beginning. And obviously, just a little backstory, you're like a stalker who's out to find anomalies in the zone. You kind of get dragged back to the zone after kind of like getting out of the game, and some things unfold, and you're now back in it. You're exploring the zone, you're trying to get out, and you got these, I mean, you have monsters chasing after you. First of all, this game right off the bat hits you with some of these scary monsters. I didn't expect that at all, because the first game, they kind of like, you're fighting some military folks and you really didn't have to worry about monsters at the beginning. This one, monsters, and they're invisible, smacking you up. And it's,
I heard it might be offensive if you're a dog lover. There are some evil dogs in there and stuff.
There are. And one of them, there's like a sequence at the beginning that it's pretty wild. He's like attacking you right up in your face.
No spoilers. Like, I want to play it.
Yes.
I want to play it. Yeah.
Sorry.
Play
so, I mean, honestly, I think you should definitely check it out for this Thanksgiving break. If you have Game Pass, it's a no-brainer. It's a great game.
What is it closest to? Like, what would you say is like, what's it like?
You know what? This is what comes to mind. A more in-depth Fallout 4. That's like what the environments kind of reminded me of at the beginning. And people are probably going to drag me for saying that, but it's an open world, lots of stuff to grab and get a hold of. I just think the inventory is cool to kind of like mess around with. It kind of gives me a little bit of like Resident Evil 4 vibes, where you have to like kind of like do inventory management and do like the Tetris-esque sort of thing. You know, you have your weight limits. It's a lot of it. A lot of the information that you get like from unfolding the mystery comes from finding like these PDAs around, like on like,
I like a little PDA on occasion.
Yeah. Is that what it is? Like the Palm Pilot type of thing? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, a little PDA. Why not? PDA on the side. And yeah, it's really, I mean, and honestly, the graphics probably could be better. I bet it on the Series X, it looks stellar, because again, the S can really only push limits so far. And I want to say, I mean, it's 150 gigs. So I had to delete like everything off of the Series S hard drive. But
so there goes Call of Duty. Did you have to get rid of Call of Duty out of it?
I
You do.
did. I just have Death Stranding and
Oh my
Stalker
god.
2 on there. Everything else is just completely wiped.
So isn't this this game is by Ukrainian? Isn't it by a Ukrainian
Correct.
company that they had to
Ukraine, yeah.
finish this up during the war, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, that
And
was for the reason for the delay.
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, crazy. I mean, just
So God bless
I,
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I know there's I mean, besides like some of the performance issue stuff that I mean, I have like I said, I haven't seen that yet. I can't exactly vouch for it. And it ran really nicely what I saw. People were saying that there's this thing called A Life that is like the AI system in the game that makes Stalker. Like it basically has something to do with the NPCs and where they roam, and it just makes the world feel very alive. And right
Hmm.
now it's a little busted. So the devs are aware of it. I was following this whole Reddit thread. They're gonna fix that up and make that like locked in, because apparently like the hardcore Stalker community was upset that this A Life 2.0 that they were uh, talking about and playing up isn't exactly there yet. But you know, I'm none the wiser. Totally great.
Summing it up
And
for us, with despite the bugs and the broken A life,
yeah,
this is a game we should jump into if we have Game Pass, right?
oh, I, honestly, without a doubt, this is a without a doubt no brainer game that you should be playing. If you're a fan of sci-fi, if you like good shooters, Maulding, you're all about shooters right now.
Yep.
Good.
Shooting dudes.
Yeah, the
Yep.
gunplay is
Love
great
to
too.
shoot dudes.
Lots of different guns. Um,
Yeah.
and it feels like hardcore. It feels like a very mature hardcore game. Like I say,
Nice.
without a
That's
doubt,
what I
pick it up.
like. Nice. Now you got me kind of pumped for it, and I'm looking forward to it. I
Yeah,
can't wait
definitely.
to try it out.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
Before we jump into the headlines, though, I want to touch real quickly with Maulding. You
Yes.
finally tried Dragon Age. I'm dying to know, since this is such a controversial game, what your initial thoughts are on that one.
So initial thoughts, I'm only a couple hours into it, and I was a little too hard on the graphics. The graphics are
They
better
grow on you.
than
Yeah.
I thought that they would be. They are still cartoony, and I still
Yes.
will say
Still.
that they are
No.
Fortnite-esque,
Yep.
but they are still good. It's much more beautiful than I expected. Gameplay super fun, really enjoying the gameplay so far. From the
Isn't the
looks
combat
of
system so good? I love the
combat
combat system.
combat system is great, but here's what I'm going to tell you.
Oh
And
no.
more egregious to me than anything regarding any of the like accessibility stuff, everything that it's been getting a lot of attention for, is that I am playing on the hardest difficulty on Nightmare, and it is easy. This
Oh
game
no.
is easy for me. Maybe it's because I was born in the fires of Final Fantasy online, where you had to dodge perfectly or else you got your team wiped. Like it is, it's egregious to me how easy this game is, and I'm playing on Nightmare difficulty. So that's my biggest problem that I did not expect to be having with that. I actually played on the difficulty lower than that and started through it and had my first fight with a monster, and I was like, what was that? Like there was no trouble with it at all. So I upped it. I just restarted the game and upped it once, and still I'm not dying at all. But your teammates heal you up real quickly. You have those
Yeah.
potions that are available everywhere. Like it's no problem to get through. So
Yeah.
that's my biggest problem right now.
That
Uh,
makes sense. Sorry to
like
hear it.
so, could you see this being like the modern day like baby's first RPG? And that's like
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
what they're trying it to make it happen.
I think it's too
Maybe.
soft all
Yeah.
around. Even the story is very Disneyified and like happy. Everything's happy. There's, and I'm not surprised to hear about the combat. I like my games a little bit, not to push back too hard. And when I was fighting guys that were like 5, 10 levels ahead of me, I was still able to squeak through and kill them. So I was like, ooh, like it doesn't, like I thought it had teeth, and then I leveled up more, and then once you start getting really powerful, Maulding, I don't know if you're gonna be able to finish it.
Yeah.
That's how I'm curious
That
right
has
now.
me a little concerned. And my other thing is, I think the grand story so far is very interesting, but that minute to minute dialogue is pretty painful. Like I got into one spot, and who was it? Varric, just right at the very beginning, he was like, "I'm getting too old for this." And then another one, and another place, one person was like, "It's quiet," and then another one said, "Oh, maybe too quiet." I'm like, Jesus Christ, that is just some of the worst writing that I could ever expect, and it's really painful to me. So I'm giving it a great. Like I said, I'm really enjoying the combat. I'm gonna keep going. I'm looking forward to playing more of it. I'm really in it. Really want to finish it up. But those are just my first thoughts.
All right, good first thoughts. Definitely keep us posted because I'm curious what you think once you get later in the game. It doesn't get much better, but hopefully it does for you. All right, so with all that, let's go ahead and hop into the headlines of the week. All right, first story up. Let's talk Game of the Year nominations at the Game Awards. This was really interesting. So essentially, the Game Awards, which we all watch, of course, every year, are coming up next month, December 12th. It's a Thursday at 4:30 Pacific, and it supposedly runs until 8. So I'm like,
Because it's one big commercial. It is
it
just
is.
one big commercial.
It is, but it's going to be one big, like 3.5, and it's going to run over. So it's going to be a 4-hour commercial. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, what I'm going to do, and the way I always do this is I go get my dinner, come back at like 6:30, I catch up on the stream, and then I just fast forward through all the crap, like their Alan Wake 2 song and dance numbers. You can go F yourself on the show and in the game, whatever. So that's the way I recommend it,
That's
because
hilarious.
does seem like a 4-hour commercial. But anyway, regardless of how you feel about the show and whether you're going to tune in or not, one of the things I found really interesting was the nominees for Game of the Year, because this definitely set off some controversy. So real quick, let me tell you about the nominees, and then I'm going to recap the controversy just so you understand, and then I want to check in and get your thoughts on it. First off, okay, Game of the Year, we have Astro Bot, we have Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor, ReFantazio. So that is our 6 nominees for the Game of the Year. Now, the nominations have definitely stirred a significant debate among players and critics. The major point of contention is the inclusion of Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree because it's an expansion rather than a standalone game. Critics argue that this breaks the tradition of recognizing fully independent releases for the Game of the Year and raises concerns about fairness, especially since no DLC or expansion has been nominated in the category ever before. Many believe this slot could have been given to other deserving titles like Silent Hill 2 or Dragon Age, which we're going to talk about.
Helldivers. Yeah.
Yeah, or Helldivers. That's another great one. So additionally, the rule changes this year are allowing remakes, remasters, and DLCs to compete in all categories, including Game of the Year, which have further polarized opinions. While some see it as a way to highlight technical and creative achievements, others feel it dilutes the spotlight on newer and original games. The other nominees, such as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Metaphor ReFantazio, have been well received, but some fans feel long-awaited games like Warhammer 40,000, Space Marine 2, and Tekken 8 were unfairly overlooked. So that said, what do you guys think? A, I want to know, who do you think is going to win? B, I want to know what you think is missing. And then also, just for the listeners out there, this is just the Game Awards. We'll be doing our own Game of the Year and Game Awards later on in the year, because one of the other criticisms about this is that the Game Awards are coming out way too early, and they're not including everything that came in from 2024, to which critics are also saying it's probably because it is one big commercial and they just want to sell things before Christmas. So the real award show from us will be coming much later, but now we're looking at the Game Awards, and what do you guys have to think? What do you guys think about this?
They changed the rules specifically for Shadow of the Erd Tree. I want to know how much FromSoft paid Jeff Keighley to get that change on the. Why not have a DLC category? Why not have it be? They have some categories for some other stuff that are pretty lame, to be honest. Like I personally don't care about like the most what was it, when they have the streamers, even though we're technically in that world. I don't really even care.
I hate our
I don't
category
really,
too.
yeah, I don't really even care about that. But so make a DLC category. That would have made the most sense, because what really should have won this game or this award in this category is the Cyberpunk DLC that they did, because that
Phantom Liberty.
totally revamped the game. Yeah, Phantom Liberty totally revamped the game, and that would have been a contender because it made a brand new game out of that. And so best game of the year would have made total sense for that. Yeah, I was a little like, ugh. And then people got mad at Balatro being on there, which I mean, I know you hated it, Dan. You didn't enjoy it.
I love card games, and I just couldn't get into this. And I bought it because all the hipsters were like, "Oh, it's so great!" And then I was like, "Oh, great! I love the best too." And then I bought it, and then I was like,
Let's go have some Intelligentsia coffee and play Balatro.
Yeah,
But I see nothing wrong with that because it was a full game. So that's where I am with the critics on this.
Yeah.
Lord.
I mean, if they're changing the rules, like they had the rule change this year and they throw it in, that's fine. I honestly didn't know about the rule change. Like, I thought they just added it, didn't say a word, and they thought that was okay. So to be honest, they changed the rules. Okay. Sorry, poor timing on the other games like Phantom Liberty. I know people were really like hurt about that. So, and of course, like Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree is one of the biggest games of the year, and expansion or not, like it had a lot of hype and around it. So they couldn't help themselves. As far as who is deserving for the title, though,
yes, I want to know who you think, and Maulding will be coming back to you, so definitely think about yours.
Yeah, I honestly, I kind of feel like it's gonna wind up being Astro Bot, just because it's just like the Sony title that I think actually hit this year. I don't think they've had very many successes, as we'll talk about later in the show. And so I think Astro Bot is going to be the game that winds up. If they otherwise, Balatro, I think could be like the dark horse here, which would be crazy. I think that would just be like, that would blow everybody's mind and not make anyone happy. But I think there's a possibility of that taking game of the year.
All right, good pick. And then Maulding, what about you?
So my guess, so I've only played, so I just finished Metaphor, and let me tell you, technically I finished it. Let's just say I finished playing it because I got to and I'm just going to go on a little rant here. Got to the last boss in typical RPG fashion. You have to fight the boss multiple times in multiple different variations. That's probably not a big spoiler. What really upset me, however, is fought the boss once, great. Fought him the second time, and it took me 45 minutes to get to his second phase. I played another 30 minutes in his third phase, died, and they brought me back to the very beginning and not the beginning of his new phase. And I said to myself, I'm not going to play another hour and 15 minutes in this one boss, and I'm done. So I am not putting my vote in for Metaphor ReFantazio as the game of the year. I think it's going to be Wukong. That's what I think is going to make it.
Interesting. Well, I'm sorry to hear about Metaphor. Oh man, what a bummer of an ending there. That
82
sucks.
hours, and I'm just not going to finish it because I can't fight that battle again. Anyway,
that would send me spiraling. Hopefully you can revisit in about a month. Just saying.
I might try, but it's going to be tough.
Well, for my pick, I'm probably going to say Astro as well. I think that's just a safe, family-friendly kind of favorite that everyone had. But I do have to just say, as a side note, I think the real winner here is probably going to be Elden Ring or From Software, because from what I hear, they're being acquired by Sony. So that's awesome for them.
Yeah.
And for Sony. Because that's a good marriage. I'm surprised it just hasn't happened before.
Not so good for Xbox players, because Sony is not going to play the way Microsoft's playing. They will not put it out on at these games out on Xbox consoles.
So bad.
And that's so true and so sad.
Yeah, I hope everyone can play nice. Come on.
Yeah, come on, guys! It's the holidays.
Yeah.
Exactly. Speaking of games playing nice, or maybe the developers, or I don't know what your take is on this, Maulding, but you had a story about an update that changes the game for Star Wars Outlaws.
Oh yeah, so I don't necessarily know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but this is I saw it on Twitter this week, and this comes from Ryan Dinsdale at IGN. And this is in with regards to Star Wars Outlaws. So Ubisoft has released a huge and highly anticipated title update for Star Wars Outlaws, which perhaps most notably cuts the stealth requirements from almost the entire game. A blog post detailed the patch notes, which are available on IGN, and confirmed the removal of forced stealth, meaning players will no longer have to return to a checkpoint when triggering "Do not raise the alarm" or "Do not get caught" objectives, alongside improvements to enemy AI detection, facial expressions, animations, and more. Ubisoft said the title update brings changes to combat and stealth, allowing for greater player choice, the ability to now keep pickup weapons in more situations, visual options to allow for a sharper image, and much more to improve your journey across the galaxy. Star Wars Outlaws creative director Drew Reckner promised to make big changes to elevate the game experience to better meet player expectations. Sentiments such as these are often seen in the wake of a disastrous game launches, but Star Wars Outlaws debuted to positive reviews. Poor sales shook a struggling Ubisoft, however, and it is now working to improve the game ahead of what it hopes will be a sales bump alongside its Steam launch and the holiday period. Now, why I found this story so interesting is I remember when Star Wars Outlaws came out, lots of people were complaining about this forced stealth in the game, that it was really ruining their experience. And here comes the developer saying, well, that was our mistake. You no longer have to do it. And they just took it completely out. Now, I love the attention to seeing what gamers want, but I would prefer to make it an option. That's what I wish they would have said. Like, we're putting in this option to make it so the stealth isn't forced, because I want to play it the way that developers originally intended it to, and I don't want a parade of very salty gamers who maybe are just not necessarily good at stealth or don't have the patience to change the game in a way that affects me. So I wish it would have been a choice. But what do you guys think about that?
Look, if it wasn't fun, I'm glad they patched it out. One of the complaints I heard was that the checkpoints were too far away. So you could easily change that by just adding more checkpoints and making it like baby easy, that sort of thing.
Yep.
So I want to play the way it's intended to if I ever play it. But PSA, it's on sale, I think, for $50 this Black Friday. And we're going to have more Black Friday deals in our next podcast and let you know what we're picked up. So look forward to that. But just a little aside there. But Lord, what did you think?
I'm with you guys. I think I have no problem. I mean, if that's how they wanted it to be, it kind of feels old school. Like I feel like there's some games back in the day where you had your little stealth missions going on and you would get caught, and it would that would be the end. There wouldn't be the option to, fight your way out of it. I mean, as long the checkpoints would drive me a little crazy if it is super long, but I don't think that's like that big of a deal. Like, I think if it's, as long as it's not like every single, I don't know. I'm like kind of torn on this one. Because I want to believe that it was, it changed for the better. Hopefully, like, you're able to just like progress if you get caught, but I could see that turning into just like a moment where nothing is ever stealth, which is also a problem for me. Like, you just go in, you get caught immediately, and then you're just like fighting, and that to me is like never fun, and I feel like lowers the stakes a little bit, because
that's always the fun of like Assassin's Creed or Far Cry. When you blow stealth, you can either be like, oh crap, and you can run away and hide in the bushes for like 30 seconds, and then everyone completely forgets that you were ever there, and they go back and everything resets, and then you get another chance. Or you can be like, you know what, I don't have enough patience and I don't even care, so I'm just gonna effing shoot you, and then you just whisk out your gun and you just waste everybody. You have that option as a gamer. I love that. So I'm curious to see, like if that's what they're doing here, or
Yeah,
if they've
I was gonna
removed
say.
stealth completely from the equation.
No,
But I
the
don't know.
gist I get is there were certain missions where you could only do stealth. You could only sneak through a certain area, and if you get caught, you were sent back to the beginning and had to do it over again. That not that you could, if you get caught, that you could then turn your weapons on people and fight your way through. Like it was just stealth, and
Yeah.
that's what they took out.
And I'm wondering now if you're like what Dan said, if you went and hid for 30 seconds and you came back, would it reset, or would it just be you're fighting?
No. In these instances, you got caught. It was done. You had to just you had to start it over.
Fighting now.
Right, but like the new update is what I was saying.
Oh,
like,
I see what you mean.
I wonder if the new one is like you
gotcha.
can go, and if you get caught, you can then go and like you'll find your way to the nearest bush.
I hope so.
And then
That
come
would
back.
yeah.
I'm hoping
so.
That would make it a little bit better. I mean,
Bush
just
Warrior.
to get out of the way and like GTA, like evade the cops and then go back on your spree.
Totally.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, one story I wanted to talk about that also, I mean, hey, you could eventually be playing this game on a handheld device of the way that the streaming wars are going. Streaming wars were definitely heating up this week, with both Microsoft and Sony revealing their plans on allowing gamers to stream their games. Of course, you have to be part of their streaming service packages and pay for it. But essentially, I know, right? With Xbox Cloud Gaming, Xbox revealed that it'll allow users to stream any game they own, not just titles that are available through Xbox Game Pass to stream. Initially, this feature will be tested with Xbox Insiders in November and will gradually roll out more broadly. It is dubbed Project Lapland, and the initiative aims to make thousands of Xbox games streamable, effectively unlocking the potential for players to access their entire digital library down the road via the cloud. However, this feature will be limited by publisher agreements and technical considerations. Compatibility will be available across multiple devices, including Android phones, Samsung TVs, and the web. And on the Sony side, Sony announced this week that it's expanding its PS Plus streaming options to include games from the PS5 catalog. Subscribers to PS Plus Premium in regions where gaming is available will soon be able to stream PS5 titles directly to the PlayStation Portal. The service will also offer cloud saves and compatibility across supported devices, including PCs and PlayStation consoles. The rollout began with the beta test earlier this year and has been designed to complement the existing PS Plus library. So, gentlemen, both Sony and Xbox ramping up their cloud ambitions for gaming. What do you think? Is this, great news? Is this not that important yet because cloud gaming isn't there? Like, how do you feel? Will you be trying this out?
Get those RPGs ready, because that's all you're going to be playing on these cloud services, because man, that input lag is still not there. But hey, it's great to see that they're going head to head on this. That means they both believe there is something there, which does mean eventually someone is going to take it to the step where we hope to see it, which is minimal input lag. You can just jump on your phone, maybe just connect your controller real fast, and you'll be able to jump into like a Call of Duty game, or like I saw they had Space Marine 2 listed there. Like that could be awesome. And I'm hoping, in my opinion, I feel like this is an easy win from Xbox, because I feel like they have the infrastructure to make this work. I don't know. I haven't followed Sony's like cloud that much, but I know Microsoft talks about it all the time. So I'm hoping they come out victorious on this one.
What if this is all in preparation for the Xbox handheld, and it is going to be a streaming only handheld?
Like the PlayStation Portal?
Mm-hmm. That's what I think it's in preparation for. I think that's
just the worst. The
worst.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea to allow you to play your games anywhere. I think that's great. I will never do it. I have a big TV that I love to play video games on with my dog and sitting on the couch, and I will never play a game on my phone. So it's not for me, but I think it's great for the people who want it. So new technology is good.
I agree. But I can count the number of times I've used my Switch, not docked. Like basically every time I go traveling, that's when I pull out the Switch. Otherwise, you're right, it's on my TV as well. But I know that I'm like probably more of a edge case because there are a lot of kids and stuff like that that use the Switch handheld. And so maybe that's what they're thinking here is that okay, maybe we can increase because they're always looking to increase their subscribers and users and that sort of stuff. By releasing these devices, they're going to be like, okay, we're going to cater towards the people that maybe can't use the big TV at home, and this is going to provide even more revenue for us. I'm guessing that's what they're after. As a hardcore gamer, I don't think it's really, that exciting if it's, just streaming. So I don't know. I think they're bullish about it, and I'm still on the fence, like a wait and see kind of guy.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to wait for some good like tests. Like I want to see the tests. I want to see the input lag. Like I want it to be up to snuff. And you're right. Like if I have a console around, I'm 99% of the time I'm going to go just turn on the console or the PC or the Steam Deck. Like I'm not going to turn on my phone really unless it could be a cool thing for on the road play. I definitely think that could be cool at the airport, just putting down I mean, see, that's the thing though too, is then in these cases you then personally, I don't want to play like on my phone at all. I would have to have that controller
Yeah,
aspect. So I'd have to carry around my
I've
controller
tried.
now. Yeah.
It's not good on your phone. I've tried.
No.
No, and playing the Switch's little hand controllers are really awful. I would never ever play or want to play games with those little hand, whatever they're called. They're called something.
Yeah,
Whatever they are.
Joy-Cons. There you
Joy-Con.
go.
Thank you. I don't want to play with a Joy-Con. I want to play with a controller.
Yeah. I'm with you
for
on that.
sure. All right. Well, moving on from that, let's talk about more exciting stuff. Let's talk about conjecture and rumors. Now, I've got a couple of them here. A couple of them here for you. First off, I want to do a quick and our first hype check 2025 for Fable. Now, I'm super pumped for this one. I loved the original ones. It's very in my wheelhouse of adventure games. And Jez Corden from Windows Central recently saw alpha footage of Fable, and he said that the game is looking really good, very polished for an alpha build. That CD Projekt Red has that kind of DNA similar to The Witcher 3 in mechanics implemented, like the usage of different swords and magic. It's going for a mature tone, which is nice and refreshing from what we just experienced with Dragon Age, but it wasn't always such a mature. I hope it doesn't go too mature because it was really silly before as well. But he said mature tone from enemy types to narrative. And then he heard that there will be options for multiple main protagonists. So just a few little rumors here. And I just want to check in with you guys. Am I the only one pumped for this, or are you pumped for it as well?
This is usually right in my wheelhouse, but I remember getting pumped for the last Fable and thought it was terrible. I thought it was way overhyped. The last one that I played,
Yeah,
which was what,
good.
2? Was that 3? No, Fable
No, 3. 3 was
3, yes.
2 was the good
back
one.
when we were like, younger. And I was really hyped for that, and I thought it was terrible. So I'm keeping my hype level at 0 for this. 0.
Yeah,
Lord?
I mean, the only thing they've really shown off was at the Xbox showcase, right? And they had that sort of, right? And they had the kind of storyteller and then the protagonist kind of stepping in. And I mean, the hype is getting there. I like to hear that they're going for the mature. I'm with you though, Dan. Like, I mean, playing like Fable 1 back in the day, I know they definitely had that humor aspects that I'm hoping they don't lose.
Yeah, it was really funny. British
it
humor.
was fun.
It was really
It
good.
was very British, yes.
Totally. Yeah. I'm hoping they like keep that same style for sure because maybe it's hard, that type of writing is hard to achieve. So I'm hoping they have like a quality team to like make that happen. And I know I've probably asked this a million times. This is my favorite question, but is this a Game Pass
Yeah,
title?
it will
Oh,
be.
it is. All right. Well, I'm probably gonna have to. I'll probably delete Death Stranding for this one. I think when the time comes.
We've got some time. Don't worry. You can get a lot of hours into your precious Death Stranding before this one comes. And will this game make our most anticipated games of 2025? You'll have to stick around because that segment will be coming up in a couple of episodes. But first, let's continue with our rumors and conjecture here. Maulding, you've got one that's kind of insane but fun about GTA.
Yeah, unfortunately I have an upset dog with me at the moment, so he is given some barks.
He's fired up
Hey,
about GTA 6. He's like,
fired
Yes.
up about it.
Hey, you just say that around him, and Dobby goes crazy.
Yeah, he's really not having a good time. So I don't know what to do about this. Dobby, stop, buddy, go on your thing.
We can come back to you and jump to another topic.
Come back.
Okay, so then, Lord, I know that you real quickly
Yes.
had an interesting story about Lego Horizon Adventures.
Yeah. So I got a tip off that, man, Lego Horizon Adventures numbers are not good on Steam. And I'm looking over here. They had 602 peak players when this game launched.
Ouch.
And yesterday evening, when I took a screen grab, because I put this in our little rundown, it had 80 players. And I'm just like, those are truly Concord level numbers.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
this isn't a game that was just like, here's like a little, like, and we're going to launch. That game was shown off multiple times, multiple showcases. I'm like, this has to be slaying out. Like, this isn't console numbers that we're looking at, but Steam and the PlayStation are very like, I feel like they're so hand in hand anymore. It's like I feel like the Steam numbers are pretty representative, at least partially. So when you're seeing this,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like,
I think
what
Lego
is going
games are
on?
old, and I think that Horizon sucks. But that's just me.
So Horizon does not suck. I will push back on you on that, but I will add that no one asked for this.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
no one.
this is
Yeah.
not something that would have any hype for it whatsoever. If you want to play a Lego game, there's 40 other Lego games to
They're
play. If you
all
want to
the
play
same.
Horizon, they
And they're
just
not
redid
online.
they just did an update. There's 2 Horizons to play, which are much better games to play. So
Totally.
no one
I think
asked
we're
for
at
it.
a Horizon Max, and
Yeah.
this is just proof. So this one I feel like is gonna just, I don't know. It makes me
Meh.
wonder.
It can suck it. Anyway, speaking of games that people are looking forward to, GTA 6.
I am back with a dog that is handled. Yes. So I thought this story was so funny. This is from Zach Zwiesen at Kotaku. GTA 6 fans think the moon is telling them when the next trailer will arrive. A random promo image from Rockstar Games featuring the moon as seen in Grand Theft Auto 5 has led to a wild theory that actually the space orb that controls our tides in that image is really a clue pointing to when the next GTA 6 trailer will drop. On November 1st, Rockstar Games provided an update on GTA Online's next major patch, which is set to arrive in December. The tweet contained a screenshot of someone sitting on a car and looking at a building at night, and in the sky above is the moon. Seems like a fairly mundane, boring image, but one fan on Reddit pointed out that the moon seen in the screenshot was in its waning gibbous phase. After some additional research, the community decided that on November 22nd, something will probably happen. Here's the wild part. This isn't the first time that the Rockstar community has tried to predict the future using the phases of the moon as seen in a tweet. Last year, fans did the same thing, and guess what? They ended up being right in the end. 2 months before the first GTA 6 trailer was announced, Rockstar shared an image with the moon in it, with the phase pictured arriving on December 1st, and weeks later, on December 1st, Rockstar teased the December 5th release date for the first GTA 6 trailer. So, if this is true,
It's today.
love it.
It's today? That's crazy. Yeah.
What? Wait. I guess it is. No. Is today November 22nd?
Friday the 22nd.
Oh, well, yes, it's Friday the 22nd. Well, I can't wait to get offline and check it out to see if the rumors were true.
I know we should do a reaction video if it's true. That is the
Ro-
craziest, most cockamamie story. And I love that GTA players keep making these things up. They make up so many rumors. Eventually, some of them got to be true. And I sure could use another trailer. So I'm all for the crazy.
Yeah, Rockstar's waning Gibbous fans, I guess.
Yeah.
So good on them.
I want more of these Easter eggs. If this is true and this is what GTA Rockstar was planning, like I think that's great, and I would love to see more developers doing that sort of thing, because that's just a fun little like Easter egg to send out to the fans.
Right.
And I would
It's
love to
just
see more.
totally smart. It's smart marketing. That's like totally cool. It's something that you see every single day. You would never think of it being like in connection to a potential trailer launch. I just love that. That's the type of mystery I'm missing in my life. So if it's tied to GTA
Yes.
6, then heck yeah, I'm all for it. That sounds awesome.
Well, I
Right
look forward
on.
to checking it out and seeing if the news is correct.
Yeah, fingers crossed later today. All right, so let's jump into some listener emails of the week. It's time for our emails and topics of the week. And if you want to suggest a topic, feel free to hit us up at goodplayingwithyou@gmail.com. This week, our first topic, I think, Lord, you had suggested.
Yeah. So I wanted to know, gents, what third-party piece of hardware do you stand by wholeheartedly? You know, it could be controllers, et cetera, et cetera. You know, the classic Mad Catz situation. But mine isn't exactly Mad Catz, but I just got this bad boy in the mail, and I'm just going to show it for all to see. A new
You have to
Ambernick.
describe it for the
It is.
audio listeners.
It's like an atomic purple with Skittle buttons, and it has, it has like a very traditional like Xbox look to it. And it was like $15. The shipping was a little expensive, so all in all, it was like $25. But
Was the shipping $45?
it was $45. So that is where they get you. And it's an Ambernick. This is the same company that makes the little handheld devices for the, you play your Game Boys and stuff on. So Chinese hardware, but this thing rocks. I've been using this for a couple of days now, and it is perfect for the Steam Deck and computer. I know you can play it for the Switch. I don't know if it's quite compatible with like an Xbox or PlayStation, but
Are we getting paid for this plug? Jesus Christ.
No.
I know.
we're not. But hey, this thing is awesome. Honestly, I'm just out here like I'm a fan. I mean, if you want like
So
a
it
cheap
has
controller,
all the capabilities of a regular Xbox controller, of the vibrations there. What about the taking a screenshot? What about that
Yeah.
button, the share
yeah,
button?
you hit this button on the left here, and then it has the home button, start, select, and it
Mhm.
has also some back paddles as well, and like I don't even know what
Oh.
the turbo button does, but you can go crazy. You can play some serious Call of Duty with this thing,
Oh.
and
Hmm.
I'm for it. I'm just trying to get in deep with some of this weird hardware, and if Ambernick wants to sponsor the show, like no problem. I
Hit us
did a
up
great job.
at goodplayingwithyou@gmail.com.
That's right. So that's my piece of hardware. How about you guys?
Mine is a classic if you grew up with a regular Nintendo, and it was called the Game Genie. So the Game Genie was something that was provided by a separate company that allowed you to... Oh, you have it! Ah, fantastic!
Oh, look at that.
That's awesome. Yes, Dan was just showing it off from his collection in the background.
Wow.
So you would plug in your Nintendo cartridge into the Game Genie, and then plug the Game Genie into the NES, and it allowed you to basically cheat. So each game had its own like set of cheats that you could access, like being invincible or unlimited lives or unlimited firepower or whatnot. It changed based on the game. And this it's amazing to think that they were able to do this back then, because it was not connected to the internet. There was no updates you could give it. It just accessed somehow every game. It allowed you to do these cheats with.
Agreed.
Well, maybe not every. I think there were some exceptions.
It came with a booklet that was like right next to my Bible, between those two serious business in my house. And you had to mail away to get updated, like you had to subscribe, and they would send you every so often these like stapled sheets of paper that would make these pamphlets that would have updated codes for the latest games, and yours truly totally did it.
How did they have that without access to the internet? How did it have upgraded stuff? I don't understand.
I don't know, but you were putting
magic.
in codes, like but you were putting in codes, so maybe there was some sort of hacking software in there, and they just knew the codes for their I don't know. It was fun.
Yeah,
I love that. You know what? Shout out, because who used the Game Shark for the Game Boy for Pokemon? Because that was my the Game Shark. It was the big rival. Classic. Yeah, no, nothing wrong with that. That sounds awesome, Maulding. I mean, geez, playing some of those hard ass Nintendo games with the Game Genie, probably made it a lot better.
I know, and honestly, your answer is far better than mine. So I was happy I can contribute with my experience with it, and the fact that I had it.
Absolutely.
I've just had such a bad experience with like some Xbox stuff recently. Their official headset, 2 of them have died on me, and then 2 of their controllers that I went to the Xbox Labs, which is awesome, have died on me. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to bag on Xbox for a second for their shitty quality on their peripherals. And I guess like in terms of headsets, just be that generic dude and say, Turtle Beach. So that's all I got.
Friend of the pod, Brendan, also has had terrible luck with Xbox, those Pro controllers.
Really?
I think he's had multiple ones that he's had to send back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me not want to
repair my controllers and take them apart, and I bought specific screws, and I watched all the videos on YouTube because they are such bad quality, and I've had to rebuild them and stuff like that.
Jeez.
The actual stuff that comes with the console, good quality, but it's all the extra stuff that I've been having.
Well, and except for that old Red Ring of Death.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of Shoretide, he wrote into... Yes. He wrote into Good Playing With You at gmail.com and said, "Hey, good playing, good buddies. I've recently been appreciating how satisfying certain audio elements are in video games, i.e. breaking enemy armor in Call of Duty. Good sound design has a visceral impact to the player. What are a few examples of sounds in games that you find satisfying or impactful, and why? And if you want, here's a bonus question. What are the top 5 most iconic game sounds of all times?" Now, I totally appreciate you, sending this in, and it kind of sent us down a rabbit hole, and we were actually able to go and collect some of our favorite sounds. So I don't know if we just want to go around and name one, or how you guys want to do this, but I've got them ready and raring to go. Theoretically.
Yeah, let's go one at a time.
Kick it off.
So the only thing I could think of right away was a very distinctive sound from Mass Effect 3, specifically when you're playing multiplayer and there was an enemy that would attack you, and when it came at you, it made this crazy sound. Are you ready for it? Here it is.
That is awesome.
That sound would A, scare the shit out of you, but B, it would make it even worse because she was I can't remember what her name was. I think I put it I wrote it, but I can't remember what.
Just Banshee.
Banshee. It was a Banshee. Because when you're playing multiplayer, and she was in the main game too, but when you're playing the multiplayer version, it was they would attack in the later levels before you had to escape. So eventually, like 2 or 3 of these ladies were coming at you, making that sound before they charged, and you're trying to fight. Yes, and you're trying giving me flashbacks, and you're trying to escape, and you're trying to get your squad together and trying to res them as they go down. And it was just, it really added to that game, that sound. It's just the only thing I could think of when Brendan set that question.
Like being one of those people that played with you on throughout that whole period, that was such a blast, and that sound is great and such a flashback. So I'm glad you picked it.
Yeah,
really good. Well, my first pick is, one of the all-time best sound design games of all time, and that just has to go with something from Death Stranding. And I know I talk about this game a lot because
surprise.
There's so much to love here, and I feel like Death Stranding made me realize how much I like sound design and what it just makes you happy. And in this case that we're about to show off, all this is accepting, let's say like a mission. You're holding a button and it's making this sound here. And that to me is just like, I feel like the sound kind of like speaks for itself. It's just like
It's
you're
definitely
accepting.
cool.
It's a cool
Yeah.
sound. And the weird part about Death Stranding 2 and their sound design is a lot of the sounds kind of revolve around these different, they have similar things, but they're just different enough that it's like you just recognize it right away. And this one's just so good. Dan, one more time. Awesome. And
That's really
this kind
unique.
of,
I wonder how they made that. That is such a unique sound.
I know. When I was looking through all of them, I was like, wow, they did a bunch of really cool, like little sounds. I don't know, but it's really well done. I'm addicted to those sounds. So
Yeah.
that's,
You guys were so
how funny if you press that button and then the Banshee scream happened. That's what I would have liked.
Yeah. You guys were so creative with your picks. I just went with something a little bit more traditional. And that was because I loved hearing that. I was always like, yeah, every time. It was good times. And just, I don't know.
I mean, that thing doesn't get old.
No, and it's one of those sounds that came from the very first game and has made its way into probably every single Final Fantasy game since then.
Right?
Which
That's
is probably
crazy.
into the hundreds now.
It's a banger. You can't go wrong with that one at all.
No.
Agreed. Maulding, what's your second pick?
So my second one, so this is pretty lame, but I think that Mass Effect has the best sound design of any of the games that I've played. So I picked another one from Mass Effect, and this is a sound specifically when you froze an enemy with cryo, and then they burst apart. And this is what it sounds like.
So I don't know where the background stuff came from. But
no, that's okay. It was in there. There was no way for me to isolate the one specific sound, but it was in there in that middle, and it was like the shattering because it would go along so well with what was actually happening of the enemy just bursting into these white pieces of ice, and it's just that those are just two very small, very good examples of what the sound was like in those Mass Effect games. Everything was sounded like so
the
good.
Beauty of that though was, well, you're playing multiplayer, and so you don't have to always detonate. You can prime, and so you'll freeze it, and then your buddy will be like, oh, I ran the detonation, and he'll throw it, and then it shatters. So it's like, it not only is it satisfying to hear, but it's a satisfying co-op move to pull off with your friend. And
Absolutely.
I still love it to this day.
And that was just one type of detonation too. That was like the tech detonation, and then they had the biotic detonation, which also had a great sound to it. Like, I just can't talk it up enough. So it's lame that I picked two sounds from the same game, but it's just so good.
No, they are great.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, it did sound really cool. And so my second pick, Maulding, you'll appreciate this one, but it's gotta go to the headshots in Overwatch. And
absolutely,
I just love it. Let's roll tape. Oh yeah, that ding, ding.
Oh,
it's
love it.
Just
that's the sound of my nipples getting hard when I yeah, there they are. There they go. When I get those headshots.
I think it sounds like there's also the elimination noise in there at the very tail end that you're really trying to focus on that, like ding. It's like the metal. Mm-hmm. It's just such a satisfying sound. A lot of the stuff in Overwatch, I feel like so much of the satisfaction comes from these little sounds that they get going, where whether it's like you're holding the mercy wand and you're hearing the health bar raise, or like getting a headshot, just getting a body shot, it sounds awesome. So really, man, Overwatch really nailed it, but the headshots, something special there.
Not only that, they really perfected the characters and their dialogue together, made you feel like you were on a team because they're all chatting with each other and responding to each other. So that all that voiceover work was really great too.
Totally.
That is a good one, and I love that your guys'
Makes
picks
you
are
want to play,
modern.
right? Makes you want to play a little Overwatch, does it?
Again, I'm throwing it back to an old school game, and this one's one of the most recognizable ones that have been around. And well, basically, it's from Metal Gear, and it's that sound, and that is the sound of a young Dan's sphincter. Just like every time that you hear that, you're just like, whoa, shit! Like it just gets your heart racing.
It's iconic.
And you tense up, and I think I had such a physical reaction to that as a kid that makes me laugh now. But that sound still gets to my sphincter. I'm telling you, it's funny.
Another one too, that those sounds are throughout the entire series. I think every Metal Gear game has that sound when you get caught.
Oh, it's such a good. That's a really good pick. Honestly, it's awesome.
Yeah. And then as far as like his question about the top 5 sounds, I don't know if we could like quickly come up with that, but we can definitely like, when you think of iconic sounds, you can think of like the Sonic coins and the Mario coins and the Mario jumping and the Pac-Man. Like all of these things went through my head. Was there any like shout outs you guys have for ones that went through your head when we were putting this together?
Link opening up a treasure chest in Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, speaking of Zelda, like the one that I was really like tempted to go with was Breath of the Wild, and just that little tiny piano that would play throughout. I thought that became very iconic to me. I thought they really nailed like the wandering, like mysterious forest, especially at the beginning of the game with that. I thought they nailed the piano.
Yeah.
I'll add the music that plays in Tears of the Kingdom as you're falling. They time it somehow so that when you hit the ground, the music crescendos when you land. No matter what happens, the music is always going to crescendo right before you land. And I absolutely love that.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
One of the ones I looked for but couldn't find was because I did want to do something recent, was from Cult of the Lamb. You're in charge of this cult and you're building it up, and of course you're like sacrificing people and doing all this stuff, but you make them pray. And when one of the lambs prays, he kind of like puts his hands up and looks down and says, "Mwah, mwah, 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 mwah." And it is the funniest sound I've ever heard in my entire life, and I would make him do it over and over and over again. But unfortunately, I'm the only one who found that one amusing because it doesn't seem to exist online.
Oh,
it sounds cute.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Pull it, rip it.
Oh, I kind of want to pet you and feed you kibble.
Oh shit, I couldn't help but dork out a little bit on that one. All right, so that pretty much wraps up the email for the week. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you're listening on a podcast, please tell a friend. And on behalf of Matt Maulding, Matt Lord, and myself, Dan Whitehill, thanks for joining us. And as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.
Good playing with you.